A girl named Melanie was locked in a room. She hears the footsteps of some soldiers and sits in the wheelchair. When 2 military personnel arrive, one of them ties Melanie to the wheelchair's attached belt. Following this, Melanie is taken from the room, where additional kids can be seen. Soldiers were carrying the children in the classroom there. It was an army base where the majority of the soldiers were housed. Since Melanie was a standout pupil and their teacher liked her, they were taught in the classroom. Once more, the kids are led to their rooms, but despite their outward appearance, things aren't as they seem. These children grew up adoring worms as food. The following day, the teacher gave all of the students a task to complete. She then asks, who will share his story? Raising her hand, Melanie begins to share her tale. Because she was her favorite student and the teacher believed she was a special girl, the teacher enjoyed her story too much. She goes near her and touches her head. In the meantime, an officer barges into the classroom and asks, "Did you touch her face?" She tells him, "I did not touch her face but her head." "Do you realize how dangerous this is? Let me show you something." The officer had smeared cream on his hand, so these kids may not detect the human smell. As he spreads his hand in front of the child after removing the cream, that kid changes his behavior, and his teeth were clenching. It seemed as though he was about to victimize the policeman, and the class then started to react uniformly after that. The officer smears the cream on his hand again and the children are brought to their rooms. On that same night, as she was moving through the classrooms of those children, the teacher noticed that Melanie had a tie around her wheelchair. The teacher summons the soldiers, but no one shows up. The teacher enters Melanie's room and starts to release the restraints on the student. As the teacher was releasing her from the ties, she noticed that she smelled strangely human. Melanie was also trying to keep herself under control but in vain. She asks the teacher not to stay in that room and after that, she attacks her. Quickly exiting the room, she locks it. The teacher starts applying her cream to her body and face as she comes out. On a later day, the officer enters Melanie's room once more. Today, he hadn't brought her with him into the classroom because he leads her outside. Numerous zombies were on the fence's other side, which had been modified on one side. They had been given the name Hungries, and the military kept firing at them. Around that time, the city was infected with the parasitic fungus disease. Their ability to think has been lost, and they can replicate themselves from other humans. Melanie is taken into a lab, where she catches a glimpse of a jar, where a child's brain had been shut and given the number 13. This child previously attended classes with Melanie, and he used to miss classes frequently. She is aware that this child had undergone an experiment. Melanie becomes unconscious after receiving the sleeping injection from the doctor. At the same time, the instructor approaches, and while holding a gas can, she threatens the doctor that she cannot apply anything to Melanie. Soldiers intercept the teacher, and the doctor explains to her, "I have thought millions of times. What are you thinking? I want to manufacture a vaccine that will save the lives of everyone. Why are you not understanding me?" The teacher is brought outside, where zombies attack all of a sudden. One of the assistants of the doctor is bitten by the zombies. Through this, she had also turned into a zombie and the doctor ran away. Although Melanie was still on the bed and had been connected to this, it was odd that she could not see Melanie. When a normal being transforms into a zombie, he can smell other humans. Because Melanie was not a regular human, the zombie did not detect her scent. She exits the building somehow and notices that there is a disturbance outside. There were zombies everywhere who were victimizing the soldiers. She then notices her teacher being apprehended by the 2 soldiers. She rushes to her teacher and bites the soldiers' necks before going unconscious. Melanie is placed on the instructor's lap. Military vehicles arrive as zombies approach the teacher to attack her. There was already a doctor there. All the zombies were chasing their car, and when the officer turned around and saw Melanie in the car, he became enraged and raised his gun to shoot her. The teacher approached Melanie as the officer prepared to kill her and pleaded with him not to. She gets Melanie out of her vehicle and she sits at a distance. The doctor says to the officer, "Listen to me, I can make the vaccine through Melanie and we can cure the zombie infection." The officer again catches Melanie and places her in the vehicle, tying her with a chair. Going a little too far, they moved close to a stream because they required water. Numerous zombies then attack them as they arrived. One of the soldiers is bitten by a zombie. After not allowing the bitten soldier to enter and killing him, they begin to move outside and realize they have to go away on foot. While resting at a place, they required edible things and when the officer sees through his binoculars, there were a large number of zombies out of the food shops. The officer suggests that they will go amid these zombies by smearing the cream body. Now, passing through the zombies, they all arrive at a building that was already deserted. The doctor was sitting there and Melanie asked, "Who am I? Where did I come from?" The doctor informs Melanie that when this disease spread throughout the world, the woman who became pregnant had children that were similar to her. "You are my last hope because you are the second generation of zombies, have the capacity for thought, and can survive in any environment. I want to turn you into a vaccine so that I can heal the entire world." They all remained there for some time, and the zombies were sleeping when they prepared to leave the following morning. Melanie says, "Give me a chance to move downward because I can remove all the zombies from there." The doctor says, "If we send her there, she has no cause to return." She replies, I will come back because I want to be one like all of you, a normal being. She goes there and catches a dog and takes that dog among the zombies. A zombie wakes up with the smell of a dog and all zombies run after that dog. Due to this, the whole path is cleared and they come outside. They discover many dead bodies of zombies and roots were growing from their bodies. The doctor says it is the next stage of the parasitic fungus life cycle. There are also large-sized seeds that will penetrate the air. Consequently, all of humanity will be rooted out of the world. They came across a military research facility that had previously operated on a solar system, and they all began to live there. They all needed to manage the food because they were all hungry. One of the soldiers says, I will go to manage the food, and he goes outside. Melanie adds, I need food too. I am smelling all of you. After moving outside, she eats a bird and hears some voices. She checks into a house where there are many kids like her. These kids were the next generation of zombies. A child comes there, who gesticulates for others to move outside. Melanie had understood that they were going to assault the soldier, who had moved outside to arrange food. She runs to the officers and informs them that the soldier's life is at risk. On the other hand, the same soldier finds many food packages, but he also finds those kids in that store. All the children violently abuse that soldier, and in the meantime, they all came over and realized that their partner had been murdered. Melanie warns, it is also a trap when she comes out of the store. Melanie mingles in the gathering of those kids, forbidding the officer to fire the gun. There was a captain of these kids holding a baseball bat. She confronts him and handcuffs him very trickily, and she even kills him with his baseball bat. She brings the teacher and officer to the lab after rescuing them. When they arrived, the doctor had a masked face, and she had spread the toxic gas. All of them suffered a sense of loss there, and the doctor wished to remove Melanie's brain so that she could create the medication. Melanie was still in her senses and said, I am faster than you. I will bite you if you try to show any shrewdness. The doctor says, look, I just want to make a vaccine from you. Do you want your favorite teacher to turn into a zombie? You will have to sacrifice yourself for her. Melanie also agrees, but after some time, she realizes that the coming generation will be theirs, not the humans. Because humans will be rooted out completely when parasitic fungus spreads throughout the air. She instructs the doctor to stay inside to be safe and goes outside later. The doctor is also after her, but she is caught by the kids. Melanie goes to that place where there was a specific type of seed on that plant. The entire world would vanish if it were spread out in the air. She burns all those plants, and the officer also comes to her. She asks him, why did you leave the laboratory? Melanie had burned everything, making the air toxic. The officer had also been infected. He hands her a gun and tells her, I want to die as a human. After agreeing with the officer, Melanie fires, and the teacher is shown there in the laboratory, who is left shocked, glimpsing the outer sight. Next generation kids were all present the following morning, thanks to Melanie. These children had never interacted with others, but now Melanie's teacher will instruct all of them as she did with Melanie. So that these children can learn to speak, read, and live their lives. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching and remember to check out another movie recap displayed on the screen.